From southern Spain, Paul and Mel flew to Nairobi, Kenya. There they joined a photo safari. Paul's safari would stay with him, and as with so many of his experiences in life, inspire him musically. 5 years later, in 1971, in Wildlife, the first album he'd make with Wings, he'd write and sing about taking a walk through an African park one day and seeing a sign saying that animals had the right of way. Whatever happened, he asks repeatedly, to wildlife? Rolling Stone magazine sniped at Wildlife, calling the lyrics very clumsy things to say in what sounds like a too-obvious-to-be-real, ecology-fad-inspired song. Paul admitted about the album that you have to like me to like the record. If it's just taken cold, I think it wasn't that brilliant as a recording. We did it in about 2 weeks, the whole thing. The rushed schedule, Paul told me once, was inspired by Bob Dylan. Dylan, he had heard, had done an album in a week. Also, he said, John had made Imagine in about 2 weeks, so why not Paul? Paul said he didn't mind that Wildlife got negative criticism and didn't do as well as most of his records. One day, he remembers, he was walking along Sunset Strip in Los Angeles when a long-haired young man in a van called out to him. He held up a copy of the album. "Hey, I'm going to the mountains and I'm taking this with me. It's your best album," he told Paul. So take that, Rolling Stone. A year after the Wildlife album, Paul found himself back in Africa again, this time to cut a Wings record, Band on the Run. It was late 1972, and they were using Ginger Baker's studio in Lagos, in Nigeria, in north-central Africa. Paul says he went to Paris and Nigeria for the album, just for the fun, just to come somewhere different for a different type of turn-on, that's all. In Lagos, McCartney and his band ran into some hostility from Fela Ransome Kuti, the Afrobeat musician who was part of Ginger Baker's band, the Air Force. As Paul recalls, old Fela thought, "Hello, why have they come to Lagos?" And the only reason he could think of was that we must be stealing black music, black African music, the Lagos sound. So I said, "Do us a favor, we do okay as it is, we're not pinching your music." As Paul put it, they felt they have their own little ethnic thing going, and these big foreigners are taking all their bit and beating them back to the West with it, because they have a lot of difficulty getting their sound heard in the West. And they are brilliant. It's incredible music down there. I think it will come to the fore. When I heard Fela Ransome Kuti the first time, it made me cry. It was that good. Here's Mel Evans taking a turn at handling a snake. Paul stays safely behind his camera. Even in Kenya, Paul finds himself the hunted, as well as the hunter. Here's a fellow passenger on a bus who takes a few moments to realize that there's a beetle aboard. Once she does something about it. Calmly, but she does. After all, it wouldn't do to just tell friends that she had run into Paul McCartney while on safari. She'd need some evidence. And so it's farewell to Africa and to holiday. In London, a new album project awaits. The Beatles aren't sure what it'll be, and they don't know what 1967 holds in store. They have no inkling that someone named Sergeant Pepper is soon to enter and change their lives. At this moment, it's just the end of another day in the life. For the Mystery Trip, this is Ben Fong Torres.